Hey everyone, have you ever made an intention to eat more nutritiously and then just not seem to be able to follow through on it? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. We are going to be talking about the biggest predictor of your nutritional success, because the best nutrition plan in the world doesn't mean anything unless you can actually follow through with it. So we want to dive deep and look at this from a scientific standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, and figure out what it is that is going to make you most likely to actually meet those goals that you set, okay? Because again, we can have these great, wonderful goals, but if we are not making them really feasible and setting ourselves up for the likelihood of attaining them, it doesn't matter how good that plan is, okay? It might surprise you to find out what your biggest indicator or predictor of nutritional success is not. It actually doesn't have as much to do with your willpower as you think, okay? It's not about which diet plan you go on or which protein powder you pick, one over the other. The single biggest predictor of your nutritional success is whether or not you have easy access to nutritious foods most of the time. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The biggest predictor of whether or not you're going to be successful in all of those healthy eating intentions that you set is whether or not you have easy, convenient access to the most healthy foods, that they become the easy choice. So willpower often gets credit for what is actually the responsibility of planning. Planning will take you much, much further than willpower ever did, okay? If I had my house stocked with chips and cookies and all that good stuff that we try not to eat, I wouldn't be that good, okay? We tend to eat what's around us. And so in order to change our nutritional habits, we actually are going to need to start planning ahead and making sure that the healthy choice is actually the easy choice. Now, it's totally possible to eat healthy when we are eating out. That's totally, more and more options are coming up for the health conscious, especially if you live in a bigger city where restaurants can give you more variety. But that being said, studies show that people who cook at home are actually more likely to eat more nutritiously, even if they're not even trying, okay? So this is for a couple of reasons. One, of course, it's tempting when you are surrounded by all this rich, decadent, wonderful food. You go into a restaurant, you have all those options. Well, then a healthy choice and the unhealthy choice are just as easily accessible. So it's much more tempting then. Again, at that point, you're setting yourself up to have to rely on willpower. So that's one reason why people who cook at home just automatically eat a little bit healthier. But secondly, when you're eating out, it can be really hard to tell what's going into your food. You could be thinking that you're ordering something healthy, not even knowing that maybe they put some ingredient in there that you didn't recognize or didn't know, and it could actually be the worst thing on the menu and you didn't even know. So for all of those reasons, people who cook at home more often than not actually consume fewer calories, eat less sugar, even if they're not even trying. You see what's going into your food, you know exactly what's there, and you don't have access to all this crap around you to pick instead. So we want to think about whatever we can do to set the odds in our favor that we are going to eat healthfully. And we do that by making the healthy choice the easy choice. And studies just show people who get into a cooking habit are going to do better at this. You're just more likely. It doesn't mean it's impossible not to otherwise, but you are much more likely. And I would love to see you setting yourself up for success. Again, not having to rely so much on willpower, but relying instead on the planning that you did to just set yourself in the right environment, the right atmosphere. It's like creating the right environment for you to be successful and to be nutritious and healthy. So I want to encourage you, if you have not been cooking as much as maybe you would like to, or maybe you think would be good for you, think about cooking a little bit more. You can start with baby steps. Maybe it's just, starting with a healthy breakfast. And I'm going to give you a resource at the end for that. Starting with that and just letting that be a positive snowball effect. When you have healthy food in the house, you are much more likely to eat it. And unhealthy food is the stuff that's easy to grab, whether it's from a vending machine or a drive-through. It's always the unhealthy stuff that we revert to if we don't have that healthy food stocked in our homes. So I want to encourage you, if it's been a while since you've been to the grocery, if your pantry's looking a little bare, if your refrigerator's a little bit empty, except for that leftover takeout or cold pizza, try to incorporate a little bit more cooking in your life. You're going to be setting yourself up for really achieving that success that you want with your nutrition. And this is important because nutrition actually accounts for 80% of our body's composition. So if you're working out and you're doing all this hard work at the gym, which takes time, but then you're making the wrong choices when you eat, well, you just blew all that time that you didn't have to waste, because you're actually 80% of what you weigh, what you look like, your ratio of body fat to lean muscle is actually determined by what you put in your mouth. So encourage you to start with small steps. Don't overwhelm yourself, and do everything you can to make that food accessible, easy to grab, whatever you can do ahead of time to prep it, to make it visible, to make it the easiest thing to grab in your refrigerator. That's only going to benefit you. I have some resources for you because this is an area that I have been exploring in great depth to make sure that I can give you every possible level of support and resource that I can for you.